Hi guys, Ben here and welcome to Motivation to Invest. Our mission is to motivate you to invest for your financial freedom by providing you with valuable investing tips and strategies. The recent global crisis has caused a massive number of travel restrictions to be implemented and thus a lockdown of the entire planet. Due to this, the demand for oil has dropped and the share price of oil has plummeted. The price of oil even went negative for a period, which caused many people to panic and some people to even think they could get paid to have their car filled up. Of course, this was just not the case. So why did oil prices go negative? Well, the oil prices went negative for a variety of reasons, but the main reason was due to expired futures contracts. As previously, before the global crisis, investors and traders would purchase oil commodity stocks at predefined future prices and thus make a profit when they increased in price. Of course, in the current circumstances, those future contracts are pretty much worthless. So is the oil industry doomed, or could you take advantage of this investing opportunity? Well, if you believe that the travel restrictions will eventually be lifted and people will get back to their normal traveling habits, then this could be a great opportunity for you to invest in the oil industry. So in this video, I'm going to discuss my top 3 oil ETFs, or exchange traded funds. These funds offer a basket of some of the best oil stocks around. I'm also going to detail how I personally invest in oil during this latest market crash. Let's dive in.
Coming in, flex, I just wanna win.
Before we get started, go ahead, smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to turn the notification bell on, that way you'll get notified when I release future videos and stock picks. It's good to be first on the scene when an interesting stock is at a great price. The price of oil is determined by 3 main factors: supply, demand, and cost to drill. With an oversupply and a lack of demand due to the global travel restrictions in place, the demand for oil is at an all-time low. And with excessive supply to go with that, it really doesn't help the situation in the oil industry. This has also not been helped by the United States, which in recent years has become the #1 producer of oil internationally, producing nearly 18 million barrels per day. That's more than Saudi Arabia and Russia. Speaking of Russia and Saudi Arabia, they also didn't help the situation by having a price war, trying to undercut each other with the oil prices. Then of course you have cost to drill. This varies massively from country to country and project to project. United States is one of the most expensive places to drill, and Saudi Arabia is one of the cheapest. That's why they didn't mind going into a price war. In previous years, many smaller US companies saw the production of oil in the United States as a modern day gold rush. Many of them jumped on the bandwagon, accumulating vast amounts of debt to fund their operations. Of course, this all works and it all makes sense when oil's at $50, $60 a barrel. However, once it drops below that, suddenly these businesses' margins don't work and they start to lose money and they start to get into debt. This is the situation right now, as it just doesn't pay to drill for some of these smaller companies. Now, I won't go into too much detail here, as I made a previous video discussing the oil industry in full, so I'll leave that on the link below. So what about oil ETFs? Oil and gas ETFs, or exchange traded funds, are just funds which have a collection or a basket of certain oil stocks. This allows you as an investor to make one investment and be diversified across a wide range of oil and gas companies. While there is a great potential for massive returns in the oil industry, the risk can be very high, as it's such a volatile market affected by everything from the cost to drill to politics. There are currently around 21 different oil and gas ETFs, but in this video I'm going to give you my top 3. Coming in at number 3 is the Energy Select ETF, or XLE. XLE is the most historic, least expensive, and one of the largest ETFs by a long shot. XLE owns entirely US oil companies, with a large weighting towards larger cap oil companies. Investing into this oil ETF will give you access to companies such as ExxonMobil, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips. These are all gigantic and well integrated oil and gas companies, which makes them a slightly less risky investment compared to smaller outfits. With only a 0.13% expense ratio and a nearly 16% dividend, this is a great ETF. Coming at number 2 is the iShares Global Energy ETF, or IXC. This oil ETF differs from the previous in that it has a global selection of large market cap oil companies. Investing into this fund will give you access to great companies such as Royal Dutch Shell, ExxonMobil, Chevron, BP, and many more. These companies also have a great integration between oil and gas, and thus offer a slightly safer investment during this volatile period. With an expense ratio of 0.46% and an annual dividend of nearly 12%, this is a great way to invest in the global oil market. Coming at number 1 is the Global X MLP and Energy Infrastructure ETF, or MLPX for short. This was the best performing oil and gas fund of Q2 of 2020. The MLPX fund follows the Selective MLP and Energy Infrastructure Index. Thus, this fund offers a basket of multi-cap MLP funds or master limited partnership. Thus, this fund has a large concentration of midstream oil and gas companies. Midstream companies are those which are involved in the processing, storage, transportation, and marketing of oil and gas. The MLPX fund's top holdings are oil and gas pipeline companies such as TC Energy Corp and Enbridge, in addition to firms such as Williams Companies and Integrated Energy firm. With an expense ratio of 0.45% and an annual dividend of over 10%, this is a great ETF to invest. So how have I personally invested into the oil industry? Well, although the oil ETFs offer a great way to diversify your investments across the whole oil industry, I decided to just invest directly into the largest cap oil companies after researching them thoroughly. I looked for those which were the most well integrated, with the least amount of debt, and exercised the most capital discipline. Thus, I invested into Royal Dutch Shell and BP, which both had really healthy balance sheets. ExxonMobil is also a great company to research further. These oil mammoths are often said that they can be too big to fail. Now, whether that's true or not is yet to be seen. However, after researching many companies thoroughly, it seems that these large giants are the best place to weather this storm. With their excess capital, they can even buy up a lot of the smaller outfits in the US firms which are highly leveraged, thus increasing the market share of these giants. Now, as the oil industry is such a risky business, I tend to not invest more than 5% of my portfolio in the oil industry, as the oil industry can be extremely risky and volatile. So before investing, ensure you understand your own investing goals, budget, and risk tolerance. Now remember, this is not financial advice, so please do your own research before investing into anything I mention on this channel. Having said that, the oil stocks I've invested in over the past few weeks are up by approximately £4,000 to £5,000 already, which is great news in the short term, despite these being a long-term investment. For my full and detailed analysis of the oil industry and the oil stocks I've invested in, be sure to check that out on the link below. So do you think the oil industry will recover, and what will you be investing in? Leave your thoughts below. Want to know my favourite stock picks of 2020? Check out my playlist below, which includes many great stocks that I personally have analysed and invested in. Also, if you want a free stock worth up to £200, you can get one of those by signing up to the free trading apps using my referral link below. I recommend Trading 212 if you want to activate your account fast. And if you enjoyed this video, go ahead, smash that like button, and definitely subscribe. See you next time.
Coming in, flex. I just wanna win.